Marc, for those very few people who don't know about BNJC yet, BNJC, Brighton Jewish Community?
Yeah, Brighton and Hove, BN, the postcode for Brighton and Hove Jewish Community, absolutely.
Great. Give me just the gist of the, I mean, it's a huge development. Give me just the sort of summary of what is it about?
Well, initially it was to sort of make sure that the synagogue, which occupied the site, could continue. So we looked at the site, the size of the site, and we thought, given it's an acre squared, there was an opportunity to build something really special. And we went through many iterations of what was possible, and we came up with this idea that actually, if you want to revive a community, you have to focus on young families. So our entire focus has been on, the question has been, what's the right facilities to put on site for young families? So we have residential property, we have an underground car park, we have religious facilities as well, so we have a beautiful shul, which I'll talk about a little later, and we have a mikveh, which the city is going to enjoy. Probably the south coast is the closest mikveh for most people along the south coast. And then we have the key asset, which is the food. Food is always the most important thing. We're going to have a kosher shop, and we're going to have kosher catering available all the time, which is going to be phenomenal. You've heard from Yael already, and he's going to be a big part of what we're doing. So we have the kosher facilities. We have education. We have a Jewish nursery on site, and we're going to have after school teaching for kids at primary school age and lifelong learning opportunities as well. And then we're going to have a rich, vibrant cultural set of events as well, which will be clubs and classes, cinema screenings, speaker events, simchas and so on. So it's going to be very vibrant. And then we also have a co-working space so that people can, hang out there day in, day out. And the most important thing is not the facilities, it's the people. And what we really need is the entire Jewish community, religious, secular, whatever, they need to see this as home from home. They should be coming every day pretty much, having a coffee, enjoying themselves. And of course, they'll only come if the quality's right, but we're pretty sure it will be phenomenal quality. So we just hope people are going to come use it.
I popped over there the other day just to see just to get an idea of where we were at, and I was absolutely so impressed. First of all, with the sheer volume, the space. I know the place. I've taught there. I've visited, the synagogue, but I've never imagined that it was so big. And then I saw obviously at the moment it's a construction site, but I saw the plans and the pictures, and it is looking. It's just looking so impressive. You forgot to mention that there's a very beautiful kind of green area outside, and possibilities for just being out of doors and some workout. And
yeah, I mean, listen, we've got phenomenal architects. I want to have a shout out to Morgan Khan, the local Sussex architects, and to Teva, who has designed shuls in other parts of the UK. And Teva actually came to the last service BHHC had at the old synagogue, and I was there with him. It was a very emotional event, and he's been phenomenal. So we're so lucky. And yeah, you're right, the landscaping is going to be a key part. The elm trees which go up the centre, they're kind of an avenue to guide people into the site. And we have an opportunity, there's a sort of front courtyard which is going to be full of planting, and then a central courtyard, which in the summer you can imagine will be really beautiful because there'll be a lot of outside tables outside of the cafe restaurant area. And then we can spill over. So on a nice summer's evening, people will sit out there, and it should be great. And we're going to have that year round because we'll have cover and heating and so on. So that green space is very important. It's important also to people who live on the site. So the Muse houses, there's 10 Muse houses. They've each got a little garden at the back, not so little, but a garden at the back. There's a planting area as well in front of the Muse houses. There's an allotment. So the green space is really, really important. And I think you mentioned sort of workout and stuff. And I mean, it's funny you ask, because we are being asked all the time about whether there's workout facilities. We hadn't planned to. In fact, Peter Carr, the local MP, was one of the first questions he asked us. And so we're going to look hard to see if there is an opportunity to create some space, because, for mental health and physical health, there's no question these days that being able to work out is a big win if we can do it.
Plus, after eating your meal's food, you want to maybe.
I think that's absolutely right. And of course, you're a 5-minute walk to the seafront, which is beautiful, and it's the nicest part of the seafront. and then you also have the Downs. So for people who are not so familiar with Brighton and Sussex, there's phenomenal places to go exercise and just enjoy the outdoor life.
So now that you've everyone's appetite, when can we expect for the development to be complete?
Yes. Well, we started on the 14th of January, and we are nearly a year in now, and so far, thank God, we are on program. And the plan is to open in time for Pesach 2022. So we've got just over a year to go, and so far you've seen the site. We've excavated the basement. We've done the concrete pour there. Last week we actually did the concrete pour for the mikveh, which is a very important landmark for the site. We've done ground source heat pumps because making sure we're good in terms of our environmental footprint is really, really important. And we've started to build the frames for the Muse houses at the back, the West Block, which is adjacent to St. Christopher's, the school next door, and the East Block. So, yeah, it's busy. It's very busy. There's a lot of people on site at the moment.
And when people listen to this and think about it, when can people formally register their interest?
Well, funnily enough, I mean, when we had our event with the Chief Rabbi, who's been phenomenally supportive of what we're doing, back in 2017, we had a survey and we took people's sort of interest in various parts of the site then. We had about 40 people who particularly expressed an interest in the housing. And the website's there. If people want to receive our newsletter, which is brilliant, I mean, Jasmine and Ash do an amazing job with the newsletter, they should go to they should email info@bnjc.co.uk. They can be added to our newsletter list. They can go to our website, bnjc.co.uk, or our social media assets, again, BNJC. So there's plenty of ways to keep up to date. And of course, if you go on the website, there's an opportunity to register interest as well. And people really should, because we have 45 units on site, but effectively 10 of them are gone because you've got the rabbi's apartment, and then you have 5 units that we've given over to social housing, Brighton and Hove social housing, Brighton and Hove Jewish home housing, and another 4 have been effectively sold. We weren't trying to sell them, but people have come forward and they've offered and we've taken them up. So there's only really 35 units. So if people are interested, they really should register their interest. And of course, our hope is that not only do we sell them out fairly quickly with young Jewish families, mostly, but also that people will not see that as the end. There's lots of properties in the near vicinity, and you live near to this centre, and you can still take advantage every day of all the facilities that are there. Right,
because the ultimate aim is really to get Brighton to be a vibrant, to have a young and vibrant Jewish community. I mean, I've known you now for 3 years, and you and other people kind of more or less your age have been telling me about how vibrant and busy and exciting things were in your youth for Jewish kids and young families. So this is really what you're hoping to achieve, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, as a kid, pretty much every night of the week we were at Rally Hall. And Rally Hall have been great supporters of what we're trying to do. And I thank Roger and Maxine because they've been phenomenal with us. But then every night of the week it was pretty busy. And unfortunately now, I think for the young in particular, it's not quite the same as it was. And Brighton is a phenomenal city. The Jewish community is phenomenal, but there's just, for whatever reason, and you see it in many centres of the world where there's a gravitation towards the biggest cities, London in the case of the UK, but we think that there's a great opportunity now, particularly because I think with COVID, sadly, there's a kind of realisation that work-life balance is important and that people can work more remotely. So we're seeing a lot of a big influx of people, not just the Jewish community, but coming to the city because it's such a beautiful city. And our feeling is for the Jewish community, if we create the infrastructure which can allow them to kind of keep an observant life, or not, depending on what they want to do, that will drive people to come live in the city. And once you get a critical mass, of course, everything is possible.
Right. And you really emphasize the fact that we would like people who either observant or not at all, from all segments of the community, to come in. But the place, the kind of the plot of land belongs to Brighton Hove Hebrew congregation, which is Orthodox. Do you think it could be problematic in that people who are not Orthodox or not even affiliated to any synagogue or stream of Judaism, could it be a little bit of a problem for them to come to a place that is affiliated in its essence?
Well, yeah, perception-wise, there's a risk that people have that view. And the reality is, and BHHC have been great partners for us. If you look at the history, unfortunately, membership of Orthodox communities is declining. And the chief rabbi uses this great phrase. He says that you have to have multiple touch points to create a community. And he himself recognizes that the vast bulk of Jewish people these days are not religiously observant, but maybe they're culturally observant.
Right.
And that's what we're creating. So BNJC is very distinct from BHHC. BNJC, our vision is to revive the Jewish community, create an open and welcoming site for people across the religious spectrum and people who are totally secular, and to create something for the city, some fantastic asset for the city. So with all the events that we're doing, most of which will have a Jewish character because we're proudly Jewish, but some of which won't. Some of it will just be phenomenally exciting, interesting events. Speakers from Sussex University, they're going to do a speaker series. Some of their events will have nothing to do with Judaism. So it's just going to be a site where people can come, they can feel at home, they can have a coffee, can have a chat with their friends, can take a class. So
BNJC is a separate entity to Brighton Hove Hebrew congregation, even though the site kind of...
It's a separate entity. So effectively the way it's being organised is BHHC have got responsibility for running the shul and the mikveh in the main, and religious programming. I guess they'll want to do a lot of that. I really hope, because that will be really interesting. We got some phenomenal rabbis in the town, and then we're going to do a lot of the programming elsewhere. So whether it's cultural, social, educational, we've got a team who are just going to really make sure that every day, every hour of the day, there's stuff to do.
Marc, food. We can't not talk about food. All these people that are watching want to know what's going to be there in terms of eating. And I know that we have Ian on board. Maybe talk to me about the grand plan of what to offer.
Well, the great thing that we've been able to do is we found room for a kosher shop. So that means that rather than schlepping up to London or ordering and just, it's been quite inconvenient for people who wanted to keep kosher in the town. Now it's going to be very easy because you can buy a kosher chicken. We'll get supplies from all the big kosher suppliers. And we'll also make a lot of stuff. Yanir is going to make a lot of stuff which will be sold in the kosher shop. And we're going to have a Parrot bakery, please God, which will mean that we can make our own challahs and other things for the cafe and so on. So we have those two things. We have a milky kitchen, which is probably going to be front of house. Yanir talked earlier in his segment about the fact he loves to cook in front of people, and we think that's going to be possible as well. And then at night we've got a meaty restaurant, which I think will be exceptional quality, and will be something totally new for the city, because there is no kosher facility at all in the city, in the county, I think even in Kent as well. So this is going to be something really important for everyone, and it's going to be really amazing, and it needs to be high enough quality that non-Jewish people will want to come. We've got many unique selling points on site, and around the courtyard, and everything else that we're doing. Probably the food will be a big compliment to that.
Great. Okay. Are you also fundraising? Are we also hoping to have the place kind of sustainable in terms of income?
Yeah, listen, Tony has been phenomenally generous and made this whole thing happen, and everybody should, I think everybody does owe him a huge amount of gratitude, and should, do express what an amazing thing he has done for the city. There's no question about that. We do want people to fundraise for the site, and not so much for the money, although that's really, really, really important. But it's also because everyone should feel like it's theirs. They should have a stake in it. It's a bit like the Mishkan when everybody gave, and we've already had some very nice donations. Probably the most recent lovely donation was from Ivor Richards, who's just made Aliyah, when he left a very beautiful set of Jewish books to the site. And it's been lovely, particularly because I was chairman of the Reform Shul, and a very big, important player in the Reform Shul's history. And it's so great that the Reform Shul, Michael Harris, also the ex-chairman there, and Deborah, who's on the Sussex Rep Council, they're so supportive of what we're doing. That's been a really nice, I guess, a slight surprise to me, is that it's how much the Liberal Shul, the Reform Shul, and so on, they all really want this to be for them as well. So, I suppose it goes back to your earlier question, but it's very much, there's a lot of harmony between BHHC and the other shuls as well. So that's something that we can build off.
And the chief rabbi, which is, as you said earlier, that's when you and I met, he came to Brighton. He was so enthusiastic about this development. Are they still involved, the chief rabbinate? Are they still involved somehow in this whole initiative?
Yeah, I mean, they've been phenomenal. So we've spoken at some of their provincial communities events, and they're very supportive. They're trying to help us in terms of getting the message out to the broader UK Jewish community as to what we're doing. And just being there to give advice. Yeah, please God, he'll come down to the city again and be a big part of the opening. We're excited about that.
Right, and finally, I mean, this is very much, you're very enthusiastic about the project. A lot of people from the community are involved, looking forward to it. And obviously the Brighton Hove community should have some kind of ownership of the whole thing. Are you actively looking for more people to be involved in some ways?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question to end on. I mean, first year, it's been, we've had a lot of work to do progressing the actual construction and just getting legal agreements and so on in place. Now we've done that, and we're starting with this event. This is kind of a new chapter. We're going to have some great Zoom events in the near future, and then hopefully physical events towards the second half of next year. But now is the time when people can come and they can almost see the site kind of growing out of the ground, that we can start to do things. And if everybody, there's 2,500 Jewish people, we think, roughly in the city, we really would love them to think about 10, 20, 30 people they know who do not live in Brighton, and they can reach out to them, contact them, and then all of a sudden 25,000, 30, 50,000 people, which then means the whole Jewish community in the UK will know about what we're doing. And we need to be smart about the way we do it, but it absolutely needs the Brighton community to spread the word about what we're doing, and ultimately soon as well to become involved in helping put events on. So if we do an event next year to sort of open up to visiting families to come and see when we've got a show house and a show apartment ready, then it's going to need the local community to help us put that event on. Because it's, we're not a big team. We have to be cost conscious and we have to be fairly small. But we're relying on the kind of goodwill of the local population. And we also want to survey them and discuss with them what they want to see on site. Because whilst we've already done that to a degree, we've got a lot of what I think are great ideas. We want to hear from other people. People have always got phenomenal ideas that we haven't thought of. So absolutely.
Thank you, Marc. I'm really excited about the whole thing.
Brilliant. Thanks, Yael. Really enjoyed talking to you. Thank you.